All right. So I don't really like private messenger, but people do because sometimes some of their questions and their issues are so burning that, yeah, I will address it. I'm not going to totally react on private messenger and be like, oh my God, you private messenger me and I don't do private messenger, da 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 da. So yeah, a lot of stuff that I say on Facebook is going to shock the crap out of you when you have been conditioned for such a long time to demonize foods, when you have been told that processed food and junk food and soda and all these different foods are so bad for you, and pork and yeah, even alcohol. Okay. um when when you've been programmed your whole life because your parents dealt with major imbalances, cancer, disease, chronic illness. They've passed that on to you. You know your family genetic medical history. You've been told, oh yeah, you have a predisposition for heart disease, you have a predisposition for obesity, you have a predisposition for diabetes, heart disease, like I said, as well as lung cancer, breast cancer, every single cancer in the book, every single disease in the book. And you then are getting all these vaccines and you're fearing those, thinking those are causing all this cancer in the world. And so now you have now looked at the food supply and you have already deemed that processed food and soda and tap water and everything that you've been told is, is bad, you have now adopted that so close to your heart. So you can't imagine, you can't even fathom the fact that jelly juice at some point you're going to be embracing these processed foods, these things that you call the enemy, in moderation. Guess what? I could eat pizza rolls. I could eat all the type of foods. I could take shots of soda when I feel like it. I do my J juice. I could eat shots. I could eat protein like meat and turkey and milk and ice cream and pie and yogurt. And, I mean, if there is some alcohol in dessert, I could eat that too, because I am about 3 years and several months on the protocol. I've pretty much healed and sealed. Now I'm on maintenance status. There is nothing off the table. I could eat. I don't even have to have vegetables in my cabinet. All I have is my jelly juice, and I can have pizza. I can live on pizza rolls and jelly juice and water and coffee. I'm like, how the hell can you figure that? Well, when you read this thing, this person wrote me this. She says, I'm having a really hard time with this one because there's lots of bad processed foods out there. I've been on JJ for over a year and doing well with it. Need to eat cleaner, but working on it. But truly, I don't feel that when I'm healed, if ever I'm healed, that I should go and eat chips, Twinkies, and drink pop. I was a sickly child with lots of antibiotics and lots of candida. I feel like I've been on a healing journey for many years, but even if I deem myself healed, I could never believe that junk food is healthy. Thank you for all you do. Bottoms up. See you later. It's all in moderation. Guess what? Guess what your body is made up of? When you're healed and sealed and you reversed all your issues, because I have no idea to what degree this young lady has been doing the J juice. I don't know if she's doing a cup a day. I'm not asking her all these questions on what her lifestyle is and how much she's doing the J juice, what her healing is, or even her medical history. I don't really care. Okay, not that I don't care, but it's not really of any importance. Okay, but think about what the human body is made up of. It's made up of fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And guess what's in the food supply? Fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. Forget the name Twinkie. Forget the name Pop. Okay? When you break down a Twinkie, what is it? It's a fatty acid, it's amino acids, a prohormone, and mineral. It may have more of a minerals or fatty acids in one piece of data pack like a Twinkie, or it may have more acid and more prohormones and more minerals in this other data pack called soda. But your body needs fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. So when you call it a Twinkie, you call it junk food, now you just brought in footnotes and a brainwashing. And you just projected all of your imbalances. The reason why you don't feel healthy is because you haven't healed yet. The reason why you can't even fathom eating a Twinkie, like I have no desire to eat a Twinkie. I see when I go to the grocery store and I'm going shopping for food, you know what I buy? I buy like pizza rolls as just like easy thing because I don't like cooking all the time. I'll go buy some cheese and some milk and some cereal. I go into like the bread aisle and I'll get some bagels. Okay, I see the Twinkies there, but you know what? I have no desire to eat Twinkies. It just doesn't really appeal to me. But if somebody offered me some exotic Twinkie dessert that had all the bells and whistles, I'm not going to turn it down if I'm in some, party or something. But will I just sit and eat like a bunch of Twinkies on the couch? Probably not, because I don't have that desire. But to even say that Twinkies are bad, is anytime you put like a good or a bad characteristic on something, you have just projected whatever it is that you feel is good or bad based upon your imbalances. Because I'm telling you, to give a Twinkie to somebody that's starving out there, that's going to be something that's going to help them out. When you see a homeless guy and you only have a Twinkie, he's not going to turn down a food source. So in the world of someone starving, Twinkie is fine. Though, I mean, yeah, you want to give them a vegetable, but even then, vegetables could have only a certain amount of nutrients that the person who has leaky gut is not going to be able to derive any nutrition. So maybe they need a quick shot of energy like a Twinkie to then get them up and moving to then get to the homeless shelter. Okay? So every single food has a purpose, and it's all based upon the balances or the imbalances of your biochemistry. And so if you're demonizing vaccines and antibiotics, which I do for the fact of the intention. I mean, when people live on antibiotics because they have so many issues, it's the fact they brought in the wrong chemistry to the body and caused more imbalances. That's why we're demonizing antibiotics, because the way people have used them to such an extent that the body is now immune to them, and so the pain will still return, especially if your intention is to mitigate pain or to manage your symptoms. So of course, those antibiotics are going to destroy you, whether it's Cipro or whether it's turmeric and honey. At some point, your body is going to adapt to all the poison that you throw at it, and you're still going to continue to heal. The body's going to try to heal, but remember, you only came in, if you're not actively healed and sealed and putting stuff on reserve, okay, then, you're going to be then losing all of the minerals that you're bringing into your body that you think is healthy. So no matter what kind of food you bring into your body, if you're not actively healing and sealing, then you're going to be losing more than you're absorbing. And so then you might need a freaking Twinkie to keep you alive, to give you some energy, because you're not absorbing anything else. Some people have to eat every single day because their malabsorption rate is far greater than their absorption rate. And so then they have to eat food every single day because they're losing more than they're taking in. I mean, what's that called? It's called the second law of thermodynamics. It's called the aging process, where in all energy exchanges, if no energy enters or leaves the system, the potential energy of the state will always be less than of the initial state, also known as entropy. That's the aging process. That's malabsorption. So it won't even matter if it's a carrot or a cabbage raw, or if it's a Twinkie. If you have a high malabsorption rate, it won't matter what you do, because your body is going to be losing more than it's absorbing, and you're still degrading. So, those of you that have been on the J Juice for a year, and I have no idea to what degree you're on the J Juice, what your lifestyle is, what you came to the table with, and you're still not feeling 100%, or you can't fathom eating a Twinkie. Well, I haven't eaten a Twinkie in freaking years. And even though I can, but I haven't eaten a Twinkie in years. But if I want to, I could. So there is no unhealthy food. There's just unhealthy bodies. Okay, that's the whole point of the J Juice, is when you are making a distinction that there's a healthy food and an unhealthy food, you're projecting that you are unhealthy. When you make those distinctions that there's healthy versus unhealthy food, you are actually saying that you cannot adapt to your environment. And then you start blaming the soils, which I haven't talked about that in a while. But if no vegetation grows, if you ever go into like a place like Mars, where there's nothing growing, though they're saying that there's bacteria and water on Mars, but yeah, if you go to a place where there's nothing grows, you can't even grow a weed. then yeah, the soils are depleted, okay? Because there's far too many minerals of any one mineral that will not allow something to grow. But if you can grow a food, whatever it is, oh, genetically modified versus organic, doesn't matter. Everything's genetically modified or everything's organic. You can't be one or the other. Okay, if you can grow a food, then it's going to always be genetically modified based upon the fluctuations of the environment. Every single one of you is genetically modified because you are reacting to your environment. You're adapting. Genetically modified food is just adapting to the conditions of the farm, of the field. Okay? So so there's nothing that's either genetically modified or there's nothing that is either genetically modified or organic. It's either all genetically modified or all organic. It can't be one, it can't be both. You can't have a genetically modified food and organic. It can't be one or the other, or you can't have those two, you know, at the grocery store as if one was healthier than the other. Because it's all based upon the state of the individual's body. Okay? And so that's why it's so easy to point out somebody's weaknesses, because they tell you exactly what weaknesses they hold, because they speak it. Their emotions tell you what they say, what they fear, their politics, everything. You will know a person, everything about them by just reading their Facebook. You will know their fears, you will know their inadequacies, you will know the state of their health just by simply paying attention. And so when you don't fear anything, when you're not allergic to anything, when you're not distinguishing between healthy and unhealthy food, you are now projecting a very well-balanced person. And so, yeah, I get these reactions all the time because I still have many imbalanced people doing the J juice that are still kind of stuck in their politics. And I'm a bit more patient nowadays because I realize what I am dealing with, and not everyone's going to be at my level or even close to, you know, some people, you know, that have been on this for 2.5 years, 3 years. You're not going to be close to their level, but even people that have been doing it for 3 years haven't been doing it really intensely, and they're still stuck in their world. They take breaks in between. They've been exposed to it at the time that I put it out there, but I know people get off the protocol because life beckons. There's too many temptations out there. I make sure that I have nothing crazy going on. I know I have my dog and my husband keep me very, very accountable. They keep me stable. And this is what life is all about. It's not chasing after the next adventure, or chasing after the next major goal, or chasing after the next big thing. Life is just living and keeping the balance. And when you can help somebody that is able to receive your help, do what you can without doing it for them, without getting caught up in their drama, and then you get them on their feet, you know, and they will then do it on their own, and then they will help other people. And that's exactly what the whole J Juice is about, is we don't proselytize, we don't convert, we don't ram this information down anybody's throat. We just strictly inform, and we find the best way to inform, and we just live. Okay, we're not in a hurry to reach all these crazy goals like right now in the rat race, when you only have 50 or 60 years of your life, if that. People are such in a hurry to get to the next party, to the next event, the next social occasion, the next bar, the next whatever, and they run themselves into the ground. Maybe now it's time to relax a little bit, enjoy life, which means enjoy the spark of cell regeneration. Sit back, chill out, drink the J Juice, enjoy some Netflix, enjoy some TV, feel and heal, and then watch your whole perspective change to where your world changes. So I've set up my life in such a way where it caters to stability. And if there's any changes in my world, I will then roll with the punches. But I'll let you know, my dog will still be with me. I will find a way where my dog and I will stay together no matter what happens out there in the world. Because I know, living in the world that I live in, nothing is forever, except for what I can control. I can control myself, and I can control my dog. I can't control my husband. I can't control anyone else around me. But the only people I can control is taking in the right nutrients for myself and my animal, which is an extension of me. And I know that is the extent of my power. I can offer information, and it'll either fall on deaf ears, or someone will absorb it and understand. And I'd have no idea, you know, what people do in their world. So I wanted to post that private message. I didn't say her name. I'm not going to call her out because she really, I mean, she understands that it's like, this is going to be a journey. It's not easy. She just needs help with trying to figure out how to bust through the brainwashing of healthy food versus unhealthy food. Okay, I could probably live on the J juice and Twinkies if that's what I want to do. If all I had was a J juice and Twinkies, yeah, you can live off that, because guess what? It has the fatty acid, it has the amino acid, it has the pro-hormones, and it has the minerals, and so does my juice. My juice doesn't even have any sugar in it, okay? But guess what? The Twinkies do. So does the soda. So I can live off my juice and soda, okay? So, I mean, because you got to have sugar, whether it's fruit sugar or processed sugar or organic sugar or whatever sugar. Sugar is sugar. It's an energy source that the body needs. And I have my minerals in my juice, the nutrition. Well, now, will I live off of, you know, soda in my juice? Probably not. Will I live off of Twinkies and the J juice? Probably not. But I'm saying that that's how simplistic this can get, and you can still survive even if there's nothing else out there except for Twinkies and the J juice. Because again, remember, your body's made up of fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. So is the food supply, okay? And this is why we don't recommend remedies to our friends and family, because we have no idea to what extent the damage they have and what imbalances they have, and to, you know, what degree their heart and their vital organs are damaged. You have no idea. So when you're recommending kombucha and apple cider vinegar and elderberry syrup, and they already have major high cholesterol, or they already have major heart issues, you actually are compounding the issue. Okay, and then you're all afraid of the vaccines, but people are forgetting that, that you came from a world that was vaccinated and you were able to live because of modern medicine. If it wasn't for the vaccines and modern medicine, go look at what your life could have been like if you were living in Liberia, because that is the example of the absence of modern medicine, the absence of vaccines, the absence of government, the absence of infrastructure. And then it's pure Darwinism. Dog eat dog, kill or be killed, no due process. So I'm kind of chuckling at still some of these anti-vax groups that I still belong to. So occasionally I'll go and do little quips here and there and kind of, you know, rustle little feathers a few times, and that's okay, because they have to realize that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the vaccines they received back then. Okay, they're like, well, you know, this whole outbreak of measles, if it wasn't for the vaccines, well, lately, you know, we didn't have these measles outbreaks since like within the last like 5 or 6 years, or maybe the last couple of years, I don't know. So obviously at some point, the measles was not a major epidemic until this anti-vax campaign came to be. So you tell me. But then someone's like, well, if it wasn't for, you know, these vaccines, and we wouldn't have these, you know, these measles epidemic. Like, well, we'll never know, won't we? Because the government's still going to push it. You're still going to resist. So you're going to have half the population vaccinated, the other half not. And everyone's spreading the disease because everybody's freaking weak. And then, you know, it's like scribbling. You never know where the beginning is or where the ending is. And everyone is just at each other's throats. So it's like, you know, at some point, you're just going to have to pull back from all the wars, heal and seal. Don't get into these distinctions of unhealthy food and healthy food. The reason why the J Juice protocol has a very specific diet is because I know and realize that all of you have imbalances. And I'm going to assume you all have imbalances, which you do, just like the government assumes you all have cardiovascular issues. So that's why they're demonizing the salt. But let me tell you, I don't have any cardiovascular issues, so I was able to do the salt and the juice and all of that with no major blood pressure issues, though I've always had low blood pressure in my lifetime. My body. So the J Juice actually gave me that which I've been missing for years. But when you have too much fat in your body and you already have predispositions of cardiovascular issues and you already have high blood pressure prior to the J Juice, guess what? The body's gonna heal, and the symptom is high blood pressure, because that's what keeps the blood pumping past all those fatty deposits. Because why else would you have a high blood pressure? Because you have so much fat and other types of things in your system, it has to work overtime to pump that blood through all of that crap. So imagine you hardly have any kind of fatty deposits, hardly any fat, and you're already malnourished, malnutrition, all that stuff, and you have really low blood pressure. Well, that's just as detrimental as really high blood pressure. But with the J juice, we recognize that everybody has some kind of imbalance in their fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And so it'll do everybody good to be a bit more, conservative in their food intake. The focus is more on the juice. Stay with the diet. The diet kind of takes away all the different acids, because you already have acid imbalances. And so you're bringing in acid with the J juice anyways, but it's a cleaner acid. It's a probiotic acid versus an amino acid that you get from like red meat or legumes. I mean, somebody asked me today, why did you nix the legumes? Because legumes, yes, it's a protein source, but it's full of carbohydrates that turns into sugar in the body. If you already have acid imbalances, these vegans and vegetarians living off of legumes already have malabsorption. So, it's like, so that's why I nix the legumes, because I know those that don't eat meat, obviously not going to eat the chicken and the eggs. And so their natural go-to for protein is the legumes. And I'm saying no. So you might as well eat some eggs, okay, if you're a vegan. But I don't want any vegan and vegetarians doing the protocol, but I know they do. But hey, if you feel like you're not getting enough food, then go eat a freaking hamburger. Go eat a donut, fine, but you're going to undermine. The fact that you don't even eat even chicken or egg fat is already putting you way behind the 8 ball. So don't blame the J juice that you're not getting enough food, because you've already nixed 2 of the main sources of fatty acids and amino acids right out of the gate. So I don't really want vegans and vegetarians on my diet or on the protocol, because already they are doing themselves a disservice as well as everybody else around them. But I know they exist. I'm not going to take them, out of the group, but they better not be promoting their politics in the group. And if they feel they're not eating enough, then they need to go eat an egg and some potatoes, some French fries with some coconut oil and some salt. Okay? So yeah. So this whole J juice is so strategic, and it's more strategic than most people think. They don't realize I thought of everything. I thought of who it is on the protocol. I know some people who are so poor that live near Walmart and they can't be lugging water, so they can do tap. You guys can use tap water on the juice, okay? All of you can use conventional vegetables. You don't have to use organic. So I already pretty much take into account the spread of everybody, culture to geographical region to socioeconomic status to religious, as well as to just, I don't know, even your politics around food. But if you are a vegan and vegetarian, it's going to be harder for you to do the protocol, because I'm not allowing you to eat all the junk food according to your imbalances. It's not junk food per se, but if you already have acid imbalances and fatty acid imbalances, amino acid imbalances, and prohormone imbalances and mineral imbalances, and you're taking these foods that are high in those condensed minerals, then yeah, it's junk food in that regard. You may need to have some animal fat, because you may be really deficient. You may have only 1% body fat. That's pretty dangerous. Okay, so you might do well with a couple eggs and a big old piece of fried chicken with, coconut oil and salt, all right? And a big old fried egg on some potatoes. So yeah, so once you get all of your acids and your hormones, your prohormones and your minerals, and all of those balanced out, there's nothing in the food supply that you're going to be discriminatory against. And then you don't have to challenge each other to stay away from Coke. You don't have to challenge each other to stay away from Twinkies. You don't have to play these Facebook challenges of, oh, don't eat sugar for a whole freaking day or a whole week. you know, because you want to lose the belly fat, okay, you won't have to play those games, because those are the games all over Facebook. How can we starve each other by, you know, to trigger weight loss because you feel that you guys are overweight? So you think that malnutrition is the way to go. I mean, when the West is so entitled and so privileged and take everything for granted, then they go act as if they were living in like Ethiopia where there's nothing, and they go and starve themselves. That's how blind we are right now. That's how completely just oblivious to reality we are in the West. We don't know where we came from because we've been spoiled to such an extent where we can go to the grocery store and buy food where someone else has processed it for us. 'Cause let me tell you, processed food on a body that's very, very, very well balanced makes it easier to digest. You know, but then even when, you know, I eat a whole food, I'm not saying that my body can't digest it, but I'll tell you what, processed food on a body that is very effective in eliminating and absorbing, it's a gift because it doesn't have to work as hard. The body works harder when it's trying to break down a raw piece of cabbage. The body works harder when it's trying to break down a raw carrot. The body works harder when it's trying to break down raw food. So on a very healed and sealed body, processed food is going to be your friend, and it's going to make your life easier. And then when you have mucus, when you start getting mucus, you'll know that's too much of that specific processed food, because now the mucus is your barometer letting you know that's too much of this, or you'll be going to the bathroom a lot more. Like when I ate that hamburger helper that had, you know, the powdered stuff where you add milk and you add ground up cow, okay? And I was in the bathroom for like, you know, every couple hours going pee. And my dog, when I gave her some, she was doing the same thing, but she has the same insides as me. I mean, as far as the biochemistry, because she was on the J juice and she's healed and sealed and very, very efficient in her processing. So she was peeing a lot after eating that hamburger helper. So there's some foods that you're going to know that's going to be more mineralized than others. And so you might not eat as much. You might, instead of taking a whole bowl, you might have a quarter of what you had the last time. And then you'll drink the J juice too at some point. Your body's going to process everything, release it, and everything is great. And then if you feel inclined to, you could eat a raw cabbage. If you feel inclined to, you could eat whatever you want. But when you're healed and sealed with a very effective 11 different systems, the processed food is going to be much easier to process in your body. And you're not going to be turning to just fruits and vegetables. Okay? But those that have stagnancy in their 11 different systems, they have imbalances, they have major accumulation of the wrong chemistry that is causing their cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And then you're not being conservative in your food intake. That's when people shame each other by saying, you shouldn't be eating those potato chips. You shouldn't be eating that soda or drinking that soda. You shouldn't be eating that Twinkie. You shouldn't be doing this because you're like 50 pounds overweight. You need to stay away from this, 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 and this, and this. So that's when people start shaming each other because they see obviously that this person is overweight and they have, you know, a lot of fatty acid imbalances, and maybe they shouldn't be eating those potato chips. They shouldn't be eating these specific things. But then what are you going to do? Starve yourself? You're just going to eat no fat at all, no minerals, and you're only going to eat a carrot or a cabbage? Is that realistic? Or why don't you do this? Get on the J juice, heal and seal, release the excess, build up your immunity and the strength, and then go through the healing process. So that way, at some point down the road, you can reintroduce foods. If you have a food allergy, you may not have that food allergy anymore. Okay? So at some point, you'll be able to handle the food supply without fearing it or demonizing it or shaming somebody into not. But let me tell you, every single person that has cancer, disease, and chronic illness and obesity or underweight, they already know they have issues. They already know. They already have slammed themselves for taking on a food that is really too much in their system. Okay? And so now if you're overweight or underweight, you got to do the J juice so you can melt away and get rid of that fatty acid. Because I'm going to tell you, when you first do the waterfalls on J juice, your ass burns. Your butt burns. Because that's the excess fatty acid, amino acids that are released. They're being released from your system. I lost most, if not all, of my water weight that would made me so puffy and so bloated. I shrunk my fat cells the first month on the J juice. But I wasn't like, you know, some of these people who are like, you know, 200 pounds. But I was like, you know, at that time, 120, 130, 140, and it was obvious. Okay? And I wasn't proportioned well. So when you do the J juice, you're going to be doing the waterfalls, which is autophagy, and you're going to be releasing the excess fatty acids and amino acids that are clogging up your lymphatic system, as well as all the poop and the crap that's been plastered to your colon and inside your intestines. Okay? And then any other jetsam and flotsam that's all in your arteries and in your capillaries and your arteries and capillaries and veins and everywhere else. And then, yes, you have to feel pain. That's going to be the biggest deal breaker for some of you who are too chicken shit to deal with pain, because you're so used to running to the doctor or smoking a joint or taking some kind of pill. And so that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be a deal breaker for some of you. Not everybody can handle the healing process. But I've always dealt with pain my whole life because I came from a war-torn country, malnourished right out of the gate, coming to America from the end of the Vietnam War. Okay, so I already know what pain's like. It was difficult growing up trying to assimilate as far as socially and health-wise to Silicon Valley, where everyone has major high expectations, high academic expectations. And I was just like, I'm not interested in school. I don't even think I'm going to live past 20. I mean, that's exactly what my mentality was. But the fact that I did live past 20, 30, 40, I was like, okay, great. Now it's just day by day as I was progressively getting worse and worse with my health. Okay? So you guys can do it. But it's mind over matter. It really is. It's mind over matter. Some of you are so young and you don't have too much going on. So you're like, well, I'm just going to wait until I get diagnosed. I'm going to wait until something tells me in the universe that I have an imbalance. Because I'm telling you, if you do it now when you're young, when you do the J juice now when you're young, imagine how beautiful and how well balanced you will be at this age at 20, and how many girls you'll attract, because you're going to emanate such charisma, such balance, such like, you know, and then you'll figure out how to safely sculpt your body, and women will flock to you. You will be like so attractive to so many different types of women, because women can smell, they can smell balance, they can smell stability, they can smell a man who knows what the hell he wants. And when you're on the J juice and you start actually tapping into a higher form of yourself, you're going to be that much more attractive. So right now, those of you that are struggling with trying to find a girlfriend or whatever, and you're 20 and you have done the J juice, work on yourself first before you try to attract somebody else. Work on yourself first. And maybe down the road, you might not attract that person, but you're going to get into some career, and then you'll attract a person that you'll then work symbiotically with, because you'll merge brains and bank accounts, and then you'll both be a power force in whatever industry you're in. But some of you who are 20, you have your whole world ahead of you. And if you have the time and the wherewithal and the support system to do the J juice early, I totally urge you to do it early. Don't wait till you're 40 or 50 and you have so many issues. It's going to be harder to crawl out the hole, because some people on this Facebook watching me are already on death's door. They already know. They can't even keep food down. They're already bedridden. They can't walk. They're watching me right now going, they wish they could do this, but they don't have a support system. They don't have people in their life that are willing to make the juice for them, willing to go to the store and get them the necessary food to do the protocol. There are people right now that do not have the capacity or the support system to do the juice. And there are going to be people like that. But when you're 20, don't wait for your body to get that bad. When you're 30, don't wait for your body to get that bad, because you never know at what point something may trigger, and then will you have the strength to heal, and will you have the opportunity? Will you have the stability? Will you have the support system? Okay? So the thing about the J juice, it makes you proactive once you understand the science behind it. I got lucky with my husband, but I searched out the person that I knew was going to stick by my side, though I didn't know we had to go through a lot of hell and high water to get where we are today. But we both stuck it out, and I was committed to getting myself well, because I'm telling you, when you are on a death trajectory and you're progressively getting worse, it's harder to pull yourself out. And so, you know, the holistic industry, bless their hearts, I mean, even though I'm demonizing them in a lot of ways, they did help me see the light as far as getting to understand, to create the protocol, to understand candida, to understand malabsorption, to understand fermentation, which I had no experience with at all. I didn't come from a family. I came from a family of biotech, but they weren't doing fermentation. Everything came from a pill or a powder or supplement or some kind of like health thing or shake or a bar. But nobody was doing fermentation in my house. So I was never exposed to anything like that, especially around the salt. My mother made sure there was no salt on the table, no sugar on the table, no salt on the table. We never salted our food or anything because she was so afraid of heart disease and high blood pressure. So I came from a household that totally nixed the salt and the sugar. Okay. So coming from that background to now embracing the sugar and the salt is like completely foreign to me, but that is based upon my years of research and then hearing and listening to what you guys are feeling and experiencing, and then realizing that we're not different. We're all the same. Okay. So, so I just urge those of you that are relatively healthy, even though you say, oh yeah, I'm not going to do J juice now because I feel really great, which I understand. You know, it's hard to invest in something like this when you're at the top of your game, just like you don't invest at the top of the market. But do you, when the bottom falls out, do you have a diversified portfolio to then help you absorb those losses? Okay, we're going to bring finance into this. Okay, make sure that your portfolio is diverse enough that when the bottom does fall out and you have to take time away from your job, that you have enough support and enough reserves to keep you going during that time where you're going to have to spend maybe a half a year to a year, who knows, to get. Some of you who are like in the exercise industry are taking a break from your job. Maybe you're taking 2 weeks, maybe you're taking a month off, who knows. And that is a good time to start the protocol. I mean, especially if you're in the exercise industry. But taking at least a couple weeks off when you first start the protocol is beneficial, so you know how the protocol works with you. And then when you implement your job or your routine, you know when you can do the waterfalls at the times where you know you're going to be around at your home near a toilet for like 5 or 6 hours. Okay? And so, but give yourself enough time to understand how the protocol is going to affect you in the beginning. And then you're not going to know what healing, what parts of your body that are going to be waking up. Because remember, parts of your body have been sleeping for centuries. Parts of your brain have been sleeping for centuries. Okay? And so when you start waking up things that have been asleep for such a long time, it's kind of a mind-boggling thing. It's like the blind spots that you don't even know that you don't even know. Like, you know English, you know that you know math, you know that you don't know French, you know that you don't know all of the finance formulas, but you don't even know what you don't even know. And that's the whole thing with the J juice, is you're waking up parts of your body that you never knew existed. That's the beauty of the J juice, is waking up parts of your body that you never knew existed. And then I'm telling you, the whole world opens up, and then you're not going to be on that train, that freaking, you know, hamster wheel. And you're going to relax and you're going to enjoy life. And you're not going to be so trying to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are on that freaking hamster wheel, and then they're progressively getting worse. They're getting older. They're dealing with more cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And you're seeing it. Just watch your friends on Facebook on that hamster wheel, trying to advise their friends and family all this stuff that they have no business advising them on. Okay? So just do the J juice, find the time, take the time. Okay. Yeah, and John says, a wise man once said to me, son, learn how to use your tools and be as versatile as you possibly can be. Yes, John, you're an artist. You know, you're doing your construction stuff. You know, you're working with your hands, and that's just so cool. I wish that I mean, I'm sure I could, but right now my energy is going towards this. I would love to be a mechanic, but I'm afraid to have my hand chopped off in some kind of machine, in the machine shop. But I'm telling you, I mean, the freedom to be able to create stuff from nothing, it's just such a satisfying thing. And then you have the knowledge, you have the tools, and you have the know-how, and you have the energy and the health, and you have the infrastructure, and you have, the government to make sure that nobody is encroaching or victimizing you. Okay, when you have so many things at your disposal, I'm telling you, the J juice is going to be a dream for a lot of you. Imagine doing the J juice and you're in Liberia. That's a harder, because then it's fight or flight, but at least you'll be, more competitive than those out there. But imagine doing J juice in a society where you have everything at your disposal. It's like a dream. Okay? So appreciate the fact that you have a stable society. Appreciate the fact that you have a government that gives a shit about you. Appreciate the fact that you have a roof over your head, access to salt. Okay? Because I'm not going to go and dig for salt in my backyard. I have to rely on Amazon. Be appreciative of Amazon and those drivers. Be so thankful that you have access to resources, that which others don't, that are still starting from scratch. Be thankful that you have a support system to allow you to do the juice. Because some of you watching right now don't have that support system, and I'm so sorry. I wish that you had that support system, but I can't save everybody. Some of you are going to have to be very strategic with how in which you survive in this world. Sometimes you have to take somebody's support system, which means that you have to then tell people, I want to freaking live. This is what I got to do. Please support me in this. I want to live. I don't want to die. Because I'm telling you, when you see your sisters and your father and your mother all die within 5 or 10 years, all right next to each other, you're next, especially if you can't even walk and you can't even keep food down. You're next. You don't have to be, but you have to put a support system in place with the people that are still alive around you to help you heal. Okay? And that's all the advice I'm going to give to those of you that are listening that resemble that information. Okay? Have a good night, you guys. Do the J juice. Thank you.